Hey, everybody. Oh, wait, we got to do an intro. We'll be right back.
Is it just me?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Late Late Horror Show. I'm Dino, as always. That is Dave Plouffe, M.A. M.A.
Oh, sorry. That was from last week because we were talking about one of our people got a master's degree. And you're like, what do you do to your name?
There you go. Okay. It's Somewhere in Time, which is one of Art Bell's favorite movies, Traveling in Time. Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. Properly. Oh, now you switch it. He is somewhere in time.
Yes.
Here we are, remembering Art Bell again. This time we're going to talk about Graham Hancock, July 7th, 1996. Great Pyramids, the Sphinx. Boy, we get into reincarnation, afterlife, life and death, all that good stuff. I mean,
transcendentalism.
All kinds of good things to dig into and think about. So, as always, me and Dave are going to be back and forth on things and talking about, what we really still don't know anything about, Dave. That's what drives me nuts. But
it is. But we get to rehash it and relive Art Bell.
Yes. And you're going to recap and talk about that in a second. Let me say hi to everybody.
I will. But Ed's got pizza, and now I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry too, Dave. I may make some gnocchi with a tad bit of red sauce and a little bit of butter, and it's going to be nice.
Do you like boba?
Boba? What's that? Is that in the drinks? Those little round?
Yeah.
I never tried it. I don't care to try it. It looks alien.
It is. But it's really good. And I just got from one of the grocery stores here. It's a boba inside mochi, which is the rice packet, and it's got brown sugar. It's really good.
Ooh, I mean, it sounds good. That sounds good. But the drinks with all those little balls in there, I don't know, seems a little weird.
It's very
hello, Edward Stewart, Chris W. Good to see you, Chris. Lizzie Armstrong, Connie Clary, of course, Mr. Edward Stewart, Ahava. What's going on? Good to see you. As always, Black Roses. Harry Scott. Hi, boy donuts to you, my friend. JLR. Happy Mother's Day to all the females. Yes, you got to be a female to be a mother. That I know.
Almost.
Dave, shush. Who else is here? Let's see. Nathan is here. Good to see you. Gnocchi is beautiful. Yes. Oh, my God. Especially if you get the soft potato dumpling gnocchi. Anyways, let's talk more food, Dave. It always goes there. Okay, there you go. Albert Cole. I'll always remember the Mel's whole broadcast. Yes. We are on episode, what is this, 22, I think, Dave? Of remember 21 of Art. Yeah, 21 of Remembering Art Bell. And it's all about, what is it about, Dave?
Well, let me first say to Albert, welcome. And if you go back to our very first episode, we actually, our third episode, we talk about Mel's Hole. Yeah. And we talked about it for a tremendous amount of time. It's also probably something we will do a separate episode on later in the future. But right now, we're pretty booked. Art Bell is the best talk show host ever. End of story, exclamation point. And he broadcast out of Las Vegas. He actually, Paranormal, Nevada, which is nearby. He also broadcast from the South Pacific,
home of the legal brothels
of
Philippines. Yeah, what's going on with you? What's wrong with your head?
It's been hot here. It was 102 yesterday.
Dave's roasting in his office.
I'm dying over here. But this guy from, let's say, the mid 90s, that's really the sweet episodes. This is one that we're doing today. Dino and I would stay up late at night, overnights, listening to this guy.
Yeah.
Fascinating topics. Occasionally the stories of the day, like the O.J. Simpson issue.
Yeah, we started off with the news and recap the day, but then went right into our favorite stories that we loved, from ghosts to aliens to ancient Egypt, which
absolutely
we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. But yeah, no one was better than our pal, man.
So we pay tribute to him about once a month.
Yes. And who are we covering today, Dave?
Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
And the Mysteries of the Sphinx, which
you got the book. There you go.
Right there.
Message of the Sphinx. There you go.
$1.
$1. That's
right. For $1 at my local library.
See, that's
a couple of years ago.
Well, the one interesting thing I found out, and I listen, I've known this for years, especially looking back, is unexplained history is just hypothetical. We've talked about this, Dave, over and over and over, how we are so pissed, even at Art Bell, at some of the things he's done, where he's left us with information where a Bigfoot could possibly be buried. Art's parts, alien aircraft pieces, parts. I mean, so much has been talked about in the past, but has just disappeared. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with this, with like ancient Egypt. I mean, the ancient Egyptians didn't leave nothing behind to tell us what the Great Pyramids were for.
Correct.
Thus, it's just all hypothetical. And if anything comes, what I believe is anything that really comes to the surface and they find out about, it's the people in charge who take it and hide it. And unfortunately, we just get to sit there and go, we'll never know what's going on. You know what I mean? That's where I stand. And Tom
actually,
F.
You're sitting.
What's that?
I said, actually, you're sitting.
That is true. Yes. Tom F. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. $5 super sticker. Lifting some weights. Keep it up. Always keeping it up. Trying to. Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it. And welcome, like I said. Yeah. But am I wrong, Dave? Am I wrong?
No, and it is a frustration point. I wanted to tell you a quick fun story. Art's Parts, I originally thought was his merchandise that he was selling.
Oh,
but
really?
Then I realized it was UFO parts.
Yes, stuff.
I just thought it was, Art's Parts. Get a T-shirt. But it was UFO parts that someone had sent him, and all this work was being done, and now no one knows where those pieces are. And again, it's kind of like it's the Ouija board story. I'm not going to tell anyone what happens.
Yes,
I'm gonna keep the secret of where they buried the Sasquatch.
Yeah. Hopefully
that is plural, because I think there are two of them.
There are two of them, yeah.
And Bugs, I remember that was one of the guys' names.
And yeah, Black Rose is getting into other stuff like Bones of Giants, Smithsonian Institute stealing stuff. Listen, from I'm sorry to say it, but from the Vatican to the Smithsonian to governments, lots of things are hidden, and we don't get to see these things.
One of the news stories that I was reading was is our new friend Leo going to release UFO files from the Vatican?
Pope Leo, yes, the new American Pope, yes. And
I hope he releases them.
There's been they've talked about, Clinton talked about releasing stuff. Now the Pope is coming out, but is he going to be bombarded with people saying we can't do this? So, if everything's down below, anyways, yes, it's the one thing that's frustrating in the paranormal field, or even what Graham Hancock does is talk about, ancient civilizations and specifically Egypt, but he talks about Atlantis and other such, ancient civilizations from the past. And we just don't have a whole lot of evidence, especially when it comes to Egypt. But we're going to get into what he believes and what he says is going on, because I do believe there is a lot going on. I do believe there's a lot below the Great Pyramid, and people talk about different theories, and from a water pump, Stephen Myers, to this big city that we found, well, we think we found now, or people are claiming they found through radars and such. But yeah, Dave, it's tough.
It is tough, and it is to me, it's very frustrating. It is kind of like, for instance, what recently happened, maybe 6 months ago. Oh, we found a new pharaoh's tomb. All of a sudden, we get the gray smoke. Don't look over here. Look over here. We've got new material under the pyramids. And then, that's going to be like, that's just going to disappear. And then we're going to talk about something else. And we tend to rotate around these topics. And that's what makes me angry. Because Mysteries of the Sphinx came out in 1993 with Charlton Heston, Robert Schock, John Anthony West. And they talk about, hey, we've got a secret chamber underneath the right paw of the Sphinx. And, we're going to break into it somehow. And here we are 30 years later, still saying the same thing. Have we not advanced in technology in 30 years?
Or have they stopped us from even doing, and that they stop investigations, they stop research once something like is claimed, or people say, hey, we found something, things are stopped, and then there may be a period of time where things slow down, and then they get access to this area again, and everything's empty, or things are gone, or there's other things in there that make it seem like it was just a basic tomb or something like that. I mean, and again, once we talk about the chambers under the Great Pyramid or the Sphinx, it's interesting what they think, at least Graham Hancock, what he thought back in July 7, 1996, on what was down underneath there, and the claims that he heard from research groups that were looking at under, the chambers, 9 chambers underneath the Sphinx. Can't wait to talk about that. But the other thing is, Dave, is the afterlife and the death, and everything is kind of astronomical when it comes to the Great Pyramid. Between the shafts, Orion, and the connection with Osiris. Who I wrote this down because I thought it was, I did a lot of digging on Osiris, the god of death, resurrection, and the afterlife. So go ahead.
I was just looking if I could share my screen. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all as soon as I bring up, because I lecture on ancient Egypt. And so let's see if I can find the presentation that I want to find.
You should have told me you had a presentation. Yeah.
Well, I didn't think about it until now.
Okay.
But it's got the Orion belt thing. And I wanted to know if if it's just, look, it's only 3 stars. They're in a row, come on.
Yeah. Well, the thing is the mathematical, pointing of, listen, I don't know. There's so much information on this that, it can boggle the brain. And
I've got the slide I want.
Okay.
So I'm going to see if I can share my screen.
Yeah, I don't think we ever did that before.
Would like to record computer screen and audio. No.
You're not able to share your screen on there? It should be the bottom.
I've got it, but it's giving me another studio restream thing. To share your screen, allow screen recordings in Chrome. Okay.
Yeah, we've never done it. It'd be nice if you had something, you could share it too. So, hey, Overkill with an O, what's going on? Good to see you. But nevertheless, I mean, this all has to deal with, you know, the god Osiris, who they looked up to, and the reincarnation, the afterlife, and he talks about this quite a bit and a lot. And I just thought that was very interesting, and it is something I believe in. You know, as you know, my brain is not hard to boggle, you know, Mr. Ed. Very funny. Not going to be able to do it, Dave?
I opened what I should have opened, and it's just giving me a blank.
Yeah, I'll have to look to see if there's like some setting that allows you show graphics and captions on top of the video clips. Guests can control all. Let me put that on. Okay, there we go. I changed the setting. Guests can control all presentations. Let's see if you're able to share your screen now. So try it, but if you can't, that's fine.
No, it's telling me there's something wrong with my Chrome browser.
Okay, well, that's nothing new.
When I'm gonna, yeah, tell me about it.
Dave's got a stone tablet and a chisel. I did hit a button to where it says you can share and do all that stuff now. So I don't know, maybe. Okay. But I unless you want to say something, I'm going to continue.
Well, I'm going to send you what I need to send you on Facebook Messenger.
Okay. The other funny thing was, wait, what the heck? Oh my God. Oh, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Let me go to Facebook. This is becoming a mess now. Here, we'll fix it. We'll get it together. Okay, what I wanted to say was they also talk about, like, how did they make it? That's the biggest question of all. Like, how has it been made? And okay, I got it, Dave. Jesus, somebody.
All right.
Okay.
To me, the pyramids are amazing. And when we talk about the Great Pyramid, there's three of them. There's Khufu, there's Khafre, and there's Menkaure. Those are the three pyramids. Khufu is really kind of the grandfather, the first one of the dynasty. And he's got the Great Pyramid. We're looking at 450 feet in height. That is the largest man-made structure in the world until the late 1800s. The base of that pyramid is 13 acres as far as property goes. That means you could put 500, 1,000 square foot homes underneath that Great Pyramid. And
yeah,
you
there's the map.
Khufu there at the very top. But again, in terms of Orion's belt, look how geometrically centered Khafre's pyramid is. You know, it runs right through the meridian of that pyramid. And then the meridian stops when it gets to Menkaure, and they literally just shifted over, you know, a segment where that one northwestern point is still touching that meridian that goes through the first two pyramids. And so I always found that so incredibly fascinating. It's mathematical. It's, you know, and as they say,
perfectly mathematically aligned. Yes.
Yeah. And it's just amazing what they're able to do. We don't, you know, obviously no one has, you know, no material has ever been found within one of them. It's just I think it's just a fascinating group of structures. And I loved, especially at kind of the end of the episode, where Graham Hancock is like, you know, we don't know where that top of that pyramid is, because the very first pyramid is flat topped, and so we don't know where the
capstone. They don't. Yeah.
Where that last capstone is, and there was an argument that it's still inside the pyramid. I don't know if I believe that.
No.
But that top of that pyramid, flattened off, is big. It's 20 feet by 20 feet.
Well, that's hypothetical too. At one point, Zahi Hawass talked about a gold capstone that was in their possession and that they would be placing on top of the pyramid, which never happened. So it really does come down to that's hypothetical too. Can you imagine a 20-foot by 20-foot gold capstone? I mean, come on, that's just, you know, what people would do for that, right? But I think from the forever. I mean, not forever. That's a long time. But from the beginning of the Great Pyramids, the time they were built, there's really no info on the capstone being a real thing. But yet you see the flat surface to where it looks like one can be placed.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at there,
But did they not finish that before they went to the next pyramid? I mean, wouldn't you start one? I mean, get that done.
Well,
And
I
then,
believe there was something there. I do believe there was something
okay,
there. And what ended up happening was the masonry, that's on the flat surface up on the top of the Great Pyramid, has crumbled and crumbled and crumbled and fall down. But who knows where the capstone is? We just don't know. Hey, Rajram, what's going on?
and Greg has joined us too.
Greg McCown, whoa, blast from the past. What is going on? Good to see you, my friend. Good you're still around, so that's good to hear.
And Black Roses made me laugh. Probably the British Museum.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing on top, since we're talking about the capstone, was also how the pyramids actually looked at the time. Like, oh yeah, with the it was encased in a polished white limestone.
Right.
The entire thing, which created a varnished look, which, from a distance, it would be like the bright lights, shining off of it just had to have been beautiful.
While not said in this episode, there are writings of ancient travelers that have come through, and they said not only was it, white varnished limestone, but they had hieroglyphs on the outside.
Yes.
And you can imagine walking through ancient Egypt, the sun reflecting off of that, and just how beautiful and stunning and amazing that would have been.
Well, and Graham Hancock said too that there was an earthquake in 1301, which crumbled most of that limestone, which again, tremendous tonnage. Just something that, that limestone was actually 20 miles away up the Nile. So it kind of gives you an idea that had to have been brought there from 20 miles away.
Well, we've got the granite that makes up the King's Chamber came from Aswan. That's 200 miles away.
Yeah.
Now, how did they move all this, material that's hundreds and hundreds of tons that we can't do today?
Well, and all of that limestone ended up going to Cairo and became the construction material for a lot of the buildings that ended up being put up in Cairo. So I thought that was a really cool thing.
Well, but I'm going to go back to yes, go ahead.
No, you go. No,
all right. Yeah. That's not uncommon for ancient civilizations to have happen.
Yes.
When we look at Rome, for instance, and the Colosseum, and we look at, the Colosseum's in such decay, we did that.
Yeah.
We are the ones who broke off chips and chunks because we want to build other buildings. We're going to take these old structures and we're going to repurpose them. We're going to recycle them, whether they become streets, whether they become other buildings or whatever. We have to reuse the materials that we have. When I was working at the museum, we destroyed our multi-level parking, which was outside.
Yeah.
You drive in, you have a couple of different levels to park your car. They took that down, they ground up all that cement and used it in the new cement that was doing our underground parking. So none of it was hauled off, none of it went to waste. And it's the same thing here with the limestone on the outside. I would love then to have a house in Cairo and go, oh, by the way,
it's part of the Great Pyramid.
Great Pyramid. It's still got a little hieroglyph on it, but I'm not going to tell anyone.
Well, what was interesting when listening and researching some of this too was I really didn't know that there are no hieroglyphs inside the Great Pyramids at all. Nowhere.
No.
Yeah, which is, again, we found tablets and stuff like that with hieroglyphs and some of the other tombs away from the Great, but nothing inside the Great Pyramid at all, hieroglyphs, which I thought was very interesting. Everything remained plain and kind of bland from what we know. But
that's why I really think it is more of a machine. It's got the inner workings of a machine, whether it was to create energy, electricity, whatever.
yeah,
It just became more like, you're not going to open up an engine and you're inside the engine. You're just not going to go, here, oil goes this way. There's
yeah.
going to be a little bit of markings on the outside, and that's going to be it.
Well, what do we got? We got somebody who says, listen, I've had Stephen Myers on my program, and he talks about there being a water pump. We know that there is water underneath the Great Pyramid.
Sure.
We know that there's all kinds of things, and I don't even know if anybody's. I'm sure somebody's dived down deep to figure out what they see and stuff, but we don't know anything about that. Nobody's released any information. We just know that there's tunnels and there's water, but I can't see that these Great Pyramids were made for pumping water. I really don't think so.
I don't think they're made for pumping water.
And the length of time that it would take to make took to make the Great Pyramid, or would have, because we don't truly know. But did you write down how many tons the blocks of stone were?
Just 6 million.
6. Okay. Listen,
we moved 6 million blocks of stone.
Yes.
For the Great Pyramid.
Yes.
2.5 million stones, each made distinctly different. It's not like, hey, we've got a machine that's just going to put out blocks of like ice. These are hand chiseled, handmade, 2.5 million. And we did it in what, 25 years? I don't think so.
And each one of the giant stones were 2.5 to 15 tons of total weight, over 6.5 million tons. So what Graham Hancock said, and I'd like to, talk about Graham Hancock, because that's what we're remembering him in the episode. He states, first of all, there were two modern attempts to try to make a 30-foot pyramid equal to what the Great Pyramids were, and they just couldn't do it using the tools of the time. But he also says, if we were to attempt to have, like they say, many slaves pushing, or it being on a what did he say?
An incline, a ramp
to push it up. It would be a mile long.
Not only that, it wouldn't hold the weight of the tonnage.
No, and it would have to also be made of the same hardened, limestone or rock that the pyramid was made out of. So, seems impossible. So, I'm almost of the belief that, there's definitely a different way, especially when we go and look at Coral Castle, seeing this little guy. He moved things in a certain way, and we have no idea how he did it. Again, pissed that he passes away and doesn't leave us nothing. I leave behind for the fact that you people need to figure it out. No, come on, for the good of mankind. Tell us how you did that. But you know what I'm saying, Dave?
I do.
Yeah.
But I want to go to the chat over here and go down to Horror Junkie for Life. Not Horror Junkie. Black Roses.
Okay.
Let's see. Is there water damage on the Great Pyramids?
And hello, Horror Junkie for Life. Good to see
you. There
you.
wouldn't be, because there was a casing stone of limestone over the top of them, and that's what has been removed recently. So the stones themselves would not show any water damage, unlike the nearby Sphinx, which is made out of what's called a yardang, which is a natural outcropping of limestone. And that's another thing we haven't quite touched on yet, is that way back in pharaonic times, try that word, there was reconstruction of that structure. And Robert Schock, Graham Hancock, says, why are they redoing it if it's brand new at 2500 BC. And the argument we get back from Zawi Hawass and other individuals are that the limestone in this area is really weak and it had natural flaws.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I do believe that these structures are much older, that they're not made for grave sites for pharaohs. We do have them named for the three pharaohs, main pharaohs, but we're also looking at, there are pyramids throughout Egypt. It is silly to think that we just have the three on the Giza Plain. There are a total of 97 pyramids in Egypt that you can go and visit.
Yeah. And I have to reference J.O.B.
Please. I'm going to have a little bit more bagel.
There you go. He's eating. There are pictures of the guy building Korka. Listen, he does show some. There are some images out there of pulleys and, as you state, log tripods, but people have tried to replicate those too. And there are way more mysteries to what he did when building this. And again, he left no information. You talk of pictures, J.O.B. And I do agree, but there is still mystery surrounded by that, and that could not be replicated by anybody. So pictures or not, Coral Castle is still a mystery too. Anyways, he said there was talks of people that he talked to, that it was a sort of an energy, and he used the earth and the magnetics to move these heavy stone objects, even in Coral Castle. So, but like Greg McCown said, there is no real concrete way that the Great Pyramids were made. The common one is that they had many slaves, which again, Graham Hancock says there's no proof anywhere that there were large groups of slaves that built this, nowhere around the Great Pyramids or the area. So I don't know, Dave.
I don't know either.
But what's interesting, well, and they say that the Sphinx was like a guardian, for the Great Pyramids. It's like, but that would lend you to believing the fact that the Great Pyramid was just built for being tombs for, the leaders. But I don't know if I believe that either. Why would you go through all of that trouble in years to listen? I think it was built in a much shorter time. I think they had help, from somewhere else.
Off-planet help? Is that what you're referring to?
What's that?
Are you suggesting off-planet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't believe that there was a civilization around that just vanished and disappeared that built it, but I do believe that there was help. And I believe that because there isn't anything left behind to show how it was built. There was no instructions. There was just belief in the gods, belief in the god Osiris, and everything points to the heavens. So I do believe that something from above out there helped us, or helped them build these Great Pyramids. And I think the thing is, what is it for? You know what I mean? What was the real interesting thing? I thought this was the most interesting thing of the whole show, was that the chamber of the Sphinx, which Graham Hancock said he heard from the researchers that there were 9 chambers that were shown to be below the Sphinx. And in these 9 chambers, they saw metallic objects in all of the chambers. And he said he believes that they were stone statues, and they were guarding the Hall of Records, which he believes to be underneath the Sphinx. And I thought what was interesting is he goes, the metal statues were of curious and strange ability because they were there to defend the Hall of Records. And I just picture these stone statues coming to life, like Gollum, and just stopping anybody who would come in. I just thought that very interesting. It's a story. It's a story.
Yeah, I actually thought about Clash of the Titans at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Hey, traveling fools, what's going
I,
on?
now that just disrailed my brain.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That I did love when Art asked him, like, okay, we've got the chambers, we've got the doors open. Graham, are you the first person through those doors? And Graham's like, hell no. He goes,
Well,
we got to move slowly. We got to move cautiously. We also have to move forward respectfully as well. And I thought that was a really good point. I also believe, and we're seeing it. I did not expect to see it in the pyramids, where we have literally beams holding them up in a way underneath. And we're, looking at what's underneath the pyramids. I've always believed that there was something underneath the Sphinx itself, because all of those objects are generally up on pedestals when we look at art. And so I would find it very odd if they had just made this flush with the ground. That I always believed there was some type of pedestal underneath that it was laying on that we just haven't uncovered the edges of.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't understand why we haven't attempted this yet, and or if they have, we just don't know about it.
Well, that's just it. I'm sure I'm sure we have entered spaces where things have happened and we've decided, no, we're not going to bring this to the public.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm not sure why they would want to guard that. I mean, if the country, finds out things, that's connected to maybe extraterrestrial, other life out there, why would you not want to get that information out there? I don't know. Everybody talks about religion, even Art was scared about all of that. And he talked about that nonstop. Like, the minute that people are told that we're not special and that there's other life out there, which is total ridiculous. I mean, look up to the stars, Dave. We've been told this a million times. How can you look up there and not know that there's other life out there? But it's the faith that you believe in and the faith that you've been told, and we're one of a kind. I don't believe that for a second. And Art believes that people would get scared and, chaos would ensue. And, I don't think so. I think it would open up the mind, the spiritualism, the ability to want to reach out and do something more than we're doing on this planet at the moment. And that's what I wish would happen.
If we're having conversations with Congress now about the possibilities of UFOs, we're closer than we've ever been before.
We are, but we're still.
I know there's still
a bit away.
I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime, but I think we are definitely headed in the right direction. And living in Los Angeles, we don't see stars. There's so much light pollution here.
Oh, yeah. If you get out to, even in my area in Ohio, if you get out to a dark area away from the city in the suburbs, boy, what you can see even just here. But I can imagine, and we see the pictures and like.
I've seen the pictures, and honestly, I think I would feel scared. I would kind of curl up to the ground, knowing that I was more safe touching the earth than looking up into this vast sky of stars. It's very unsettling for me.
I get that. I can see why it's unsettling, because it's the unknown. It's seeing something so vast, and we have no clue or anything, anything. We don't know anything about it, other than what our, telescopes tell us and stuff like that in science. But because we found plenty of planets now that, are Earth-like, but, some of them are 100 times the size of Earth or whatever, but they're Earth-like.
That'd be awesome.
Oh my God. Can you imagine that?
I got to travel where?
It's going to take me 4 days to get there. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. But
also, for me, because I'm so into plants and things like that, how fun that would be. Like what species are growing there,
That's what I'm talking about.
and this, the light and the soil and the fruit and all of that. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? And this is another thing, if we can go back to ancient Egypt for a second.
Yeah.
There was a pharaoh, a female pharaoh called Hatshepsut, and
Mm-hmm.
she's kind of the early Amenhotep family members. She comes actually from the Tutmoses, and then there's the Amenhoteps, Akhenaten, and King Tut.
Yeah.
But she ran Egypt for about 20 years, and she went on expeditions throughout the world for trade, and not military expeditions. But this is what we need is like, what do you have? Rare spices and trees and animals, and sharing and bringing back information from other parts of the world. And her funerary temple, basically, if we had gone back to Egypt during that time, would have had palm trees and ponds and rare animals and all sorts of great sculpture and different plants. And I just think how incredibly beautiful and tropical and so different that time period was. So
Oh yeah. 100%. I thought great points in the chat. That's for sure.
yeah, I can't wait to go back and rewatch this.
Oh yeah. Lots of interesting comments. I thought, getting back to what Graham Hancock said, that about the artifacts that were mentioned, not found, but mentioned. But there was a mention of artifacts that were used to create the pyramid. It's kind of like legend or lore or whatever. One was called the Shamar. I think I'm saying that. The worm that cuts rock is what it's called. It's the worm that cuts rock, which I thought was interesting because there are many different definitions about the worm that cuts rock in the Jewish faith and the Arabic faith and the Egyptian faith. But basically, they say it's or Grant Hancock interprets it as being a laser-like instrument. Basically, because it says it kind of cuts the rock. It's the legend is, or the lore, whatever, is that the worm that cuts the rock, and that's how they got the precision. But man, you would need an awful lot of those instruments, or I don't know. That would take an awful long time too, though. I don't know.
It would, especially when you're talking about we're making millions of these, you know. And what happens if like a worm breaks?
Yeah, or the instrument, or well, again, he says it was probably laser like. They say it was kept in a lead box, to protect from the chemicals or something like that. So I'm bringing it to be in. But go ahead, Dave.
Well, then he was, talking about the Ark of the Covenant. He was talking about Moses. He was talking about, radiation burns, things like that. And that could definitely, tying into Raj's question there, bring in the idea that this is otherworldly technology, helping us build these structures for whatever reason we need them to be built.
Exactly. Yes. The what Graham Hancock talked about on the show was very interesting. He talked about Moses going up, and coming back with the tablets that were, inscribed. And he did go up a second time, and the second time he came back, the story is that he would always have like a hood kind of covering up his face, which they said was because of the burns that he got from going up there, which tends to go, if you were to believe that, because you're going on stories here and stories passed down, that it could have been something like a laser or something from an alien race that was helping us and inscribed. Again, it 100% leads me to thinking that there was an ancient race that helped us during this period, during that the Egyptian pyramids being built and other stuff going on throughout the world. We're not even talking about Mexico and these other things and stuff like that, but in Egypt, where it was all about the gods. It was all about the astronomical, this point in the sky, and Orion, and then you get Moses going up there, and then you get, it's a god. God's finger is what they say. God's finger inscribed the tablets, which could be interpreted as an alien, with a laser inscribing what he's. So you know what I mean? It's just, you can interpret it that way too. And how would you take that if you don't know? Especially that many years ago. So I don't know. It's very interesting discussions, that's for sure.
It is. Do you think that? Well, let me ask you this. One of the questions early on that they talked about, Graham and Art, was what is the purpose of the pyramids?
I
And
was going to ask you that too. I think we both should talk about what we think. Yeah.
um, and it opens larger questions, and the main one that it opens is the meaning of life. And both Art and Graham kind of settled on the idea that it was the quest itself is the meaning of life, that there's the spiritual mystery that we all share. And it made me laugh because I think Art said that for a while he thought our life was a chemical experiment. And he said it was a bad chemical experiment.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the reincarnation?
Well, Cheetah Odabita, I think you're really stuck on believing that men built the Great Pyramid, and you could well be right. They could have done something that we have no idea about, but I tend to lean towards there was something else going on there. I really don't believe that, but we all have our own beliefs. And you're talking about the statue of David, 17 feet tall, weighs over, listen, that's doable. I mean, there are different things that seem very large in scale, but I mean, come on, that's not even close to one of the stones. I mean, so it's a totally different thing. And especially when you, after they build the statue of David, employ as many people as possible to help with the creation and the moving, totally different than the Great Pyramids. But getting back to what you were saying, Dave, and yes, they were. I like the idea of what Graham Hancock was saying because I believe it. I believe in the whole spirit and energy of our being once we die, passing on, and having a choice. I do believe that everything in this universe is connected, and that includes our soul and everything that's goes on there. And it's a little more complicated. I've talked about this in depth in past shows, but when you get down to it, he's basically saying we pass on, we die, and we given the choice to reincarnate. And I think that's was a big deal in Egyptian in the Egyptian life and their beliefs, and that's why they, Osiris, the god of death, resurrection, and the afterlife. But I do believe that, and he talked about you having a choice to go. And I thought this was interesting because a lot of people have the same idea that you have the ability, do you want to be reincarnated and go back somewhere? And he says, Graham Hancock, I think he said, what if he even talked about the great the Egyptians? Oh my God, I'm going all over the place. Hold on, I'm going to hold that a second because that's a totally different thing. I'm talking about the pyramid bringing back the spirits or the people 12, so many years later. But anyway,
Isn't it the same as the tower on the far side of the moon?
From John, with John Lear talking about, yeah. but I do believe that, he says, given a choice to be reincarnated. Well, how come we don't remember our past lives then? Actually, some people do end up getting that fragments of that past life, especially with
Especially,
regression and hypnosis and stuff like that.
yeah,
But
and especially more as children as
well,
well.
I think it's still there and not forgotten, because it's a part of us and it's a part of our energy. And even if you take that choice, which he says, and it's something that's tough to handle, but he says it's a learning process. We're here to learn, and with all the unknowns and the things that we don't know about the universe and life in general, and all the anomalies that happen on the planet itself, we really don't know a whole lot. So what's to say that that's not true? Are we given a choice by something higher than us? Is it a collective that comes together to give us this, who know, like a council of sort or something? um but you can't remember your past lives. You will be given what you need to learn each and every life that you live, but you won't remember the basics and the lives that you lived before, even though some do. So
I can't remember 2 days ago, so I don't have any
right,
problem coming back like that.
right.
I love the quote, "One lifetime is not enough."
Oh gosh, Dave,
And
no.
I agree.
Yeah,
And I mean, especially for
100%.
someone like you that has kids, that's,
Yeah,
a totally different point of view than someone like me who just wants to go around and learn and read and, be introduced to so many different things. And it's just like, do I want to go around again? I do, you
absolutely.
know?
And I want to be given the choice to, not just Earth. I mean, Earth's just a speck. I think you wanna know what I think. I think Earth is a place. I think Earth is a place. And hello, Francis. I'm going to answer that in a second. I think Earth is a place that's very, very low on the totem pole. Okay, on places you go as you learn and take your steps to whatever goal we're supposed to reach. I mean, we don't know. My hopes are, and things that I've heard from near death experiences and this and that once we learn enough that we are able to pass this test and you're ready to make a decision to stay, you can call it heaven, you can call it another level, another state of being, uh, you know, another dimension, whatever you want to call it. It's if once you're able to reach that point and you're now in heaven, bliss, you're in the place that people go when they've learned all they can possibly learn, and you're not going to do evil, you're not going to kill, you're not going to hate. You're going to transcend into something so beautiful and so caring and loving and all that good stuff, that you've reached that point. So that's my hope. And that's kind of a belief that I have. It's just one. I mean, we all got to believe something. But getting to what do you think of that? I mean, yeah,
It sounds very Buddhist.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Because you
sure.
have certain people that reach this idea of enlightenment. And before you answer Francis, there was
Okay.
one thing, Mr. Ed said, you got to keep coming back until you get it right. And that has always bothered me, thinking of like, what do you mean by getting it right?
Right, right.
Treating people correctly your entire life, because you're not going to do that. You're going to grow, you're going to age, you're going to learn, you're going to have different feelings.
Well, that's why I said, being a human being on Earth, the type of creature we are going to have those emotions and those characteristics of love, hate, sadness, grief, anger. And even the best person on earth, Dave, is not going to have anger or hate in their makeup. It's part of who we are on this planet. So that's why I believe this planet is kind of on the lower totem pole. And as we look up at the stars and the universe and everything else that's out there, there are other places, I do believe, where there are higher levels of existence and where that hatred isn't incorporated in our being. And thus we've taken that next level. You know what I'm saying? So you don't walk around with that hatred, that anger. You're living a different type of life, and you're a different being. So that's kind of what I believe.
Okay.
And when Francis McCloskey,
Yes.
Deja vu, you believe that's proof of past lives, but and that's fine. That's fine. But I do believe deja vu, and a lot of people will agree with me. I think it's a hiccup. I think it's something, you can call it paranormal, but I think it's a hiccup. Whether the frequency of the dimensions that we're walking on this plane on the Earth, there's just a slight hiccup, and something in our head just creates that deja vu. Because I've had it plenty of times where I've been here before, I've done this before. But again, if you're thinking it's a past life, then what are you reliving your past life over and over and over again? Because that's what deja vu would be. Deja vu is having an experience where you believe this has happened before, and usually it's a split second. And again, I call those hiccups in time. And what's going on there, we really don't know, but there are theories. But anyway.
Do you ever have dreams and then having part of the dream come back to life? Because I'll tell you one thing that happened to me.
Okay, go ahead.
When I was a kid, I had a dream, and I was at a park, and the park had two paths, one kind of an upper path and a lower path, just because of the landscape. Yeah. And I was with a group of kids, and we were running away from someone who wanted to kill us. And it was, but we were kids, but we were adults, and we, would cruise around. There was a bistro that we ate at. And it was just a weird dream. I was probably 12 years old. About a year later, my parents take me to a park where, sure enough, it's kind of oval, and there's two pathways. Again, one higher, one lower. It freaked me out, and I never left the side of my parents.
Really?
I've never been to that park before, anything like that. But it was like the park in my dream, and it was just weird and scary.
And that could be several different things. That could be in a past life you lived in the same area, and you recognized it, and it just popped there. It could be. It could be that, again, everything is connected, and there is no time in that place that we go to when we die, or even here on a certain plane. We talk about ghosts, spirits, and such. There literally is no time. You get Civil War.
Totally different hour-and-a-half show.
Oh no, I know, but I'm saying it plays a part, because I think everything's connected, and you could be in a place in your dream, even though you've never been there, because time, but you're connecting to that place, and in the future, you've come to that place. So, are you seeing something in the future? Listen, if you believe in psychics or mediums, which 99% of them are false to begin with, but there truly are, and I do believe that, true psychics out there who can see the future. There are people who can talk with the dead. I do believe that. See the dead, the Sixth Sense type thing. We've all seen the movie. So there is that too, but I think that's few and far between. I don't, because we all lose that from childhood and all that. But Another thing, J.O.B. You said, you mentioned something else there. I have to touch on. I'm sorry. Man has lived on Earth a long time. So why now do I live? Have consciousness, self-aware. Who, how gave me this ability to live? Well, everything I just said. I think we're all on a journey. I think we're all learning. I think we're all given a choice to learn. And I think us here on Earth, like you say, J.O.B. Is one of the lower steps. I really do believe that. One person told me, if there's a hell, planet Earth is hell. I mean, there's too much atrocity, too much hate, too much killing, too much sickness that you just wouldn't. But anyways, and then getting to the other part of your question there, self-aware, who, how gave me this ability to live? I think that is the question again. And I've said this many times, Dave knows this, that it's the most mind-boggling thing ever. If there's a God, if there's an almighty being, if there's an energy source that has created all of this, to create us, to become who we are, who created that person, that God, that being, that energy? Who created that? It didn't just pop out of anywhere. Because even energy started somewhere. And please don't give me the Big Bang started a little tiny prick point and create. I'm going to take this brick and I want to make it into the planet. It can be done, Dave, with the right recipe. We have no.
It's been happening in my waistline over the past couple of years.
Oh,
just keeps on expanding. I don't know what it is.
But we have no idea, right, Dave? We have no idea. But there are things that we do know, like near-death experiences and stuff like that. There's some concrete facts in what's going on there, Yeah. So, anyways,
it's top of the hour.
Funny how we went from Graham Hancock and the pyramids to what we were just talking about. But
I love it because that's what it's for.
Yeah, and he was talking about that. That's for sure. Okay. Hey, Brian, Lance, and I did see Hides in Long Grass. I did see you too in MOR. Welcome, everybody. Please give a thumbs up. Please check out the description. Go check out Dave's channel. The link is in the description. If you like the gardening and stuff like that, and Bo and Dave as a person.
I don't know if my link is in the description anymore.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to fix that, Dave.
Thank you.
I could have. YouTube's funny where you got to use a past episode, and I may have grabbed the past. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
We'll get it. Somebody put Dave's link in the description. But go ahead, Dave. What do we got coming up the rest of the week? And give a thumbs up. Thank you.
Well, the rest of the week we have nothing, but next Sunday.
Well, yeah.
We're going to go back to the X-Files. I can't wait. It's called Squeeze.
I can't wait.
Season 1, episode 3. I cannot wait either. I can't wait to see Gillian Anderson.
Well, I was going to say an episode's called Squeeze. We got Gillian Anderson. I mean, come on,
Hello.
Well, thank you, J.O.B. That's a good sign that you're enjoying the show. Yep, 1 hour in.
Scooby-Doo. Following
the podcast. Oh.
Circle of Fear. The Dead We Leave Behind. So we're going to try Circle of Fear again. And then June the 7th, we're going to do a Saturday marathon hangout with Dino and Dave.
Yes, and that's going to be fun. We are going to do all kinds of stuff. It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be long.
It's going to be long, but it'll go by like this. It's going to go by just as quick as the Great Pyramids were built.
Talking about astro travel.
Right? What? Oh, yeah. What an awesome show this was. Please discuss the pyramids more. Yeah. I believe we are all naturally mediums and psychics. We have the ability to be naturally psychics and mediums. Yes. There is something there, Chris, that we just lose as a child and don't ever tap into again. Because we are. What happened? Did you move your coffee, your pen? Did you
J
turn the
dot,
light off?
dot.
Turn the light off, I think.
No,
No?
the sun's setting. But J dot O
Okay.
dot B dot says, was Dave drinking coffee and put it on the table next to the pins without a coaster?
Oh, and you put a coaster on there. Oh, okay. That's what happened. See, I turned my head for a second. I love the show tonight. Thank you, Nathan. Well, we still got a half hour, so we're going to continue. If you guys got any thing to talk about in there, definitely. But yeah, the pyramid, man. Listen. I don't know what to say really about it. It's just, it's just we don't have enough facts, and I think everything is hidden. We have these new images. Well, let me pull something up. Go ahead. You got something to say, Dave?
Well, it's just what's in the empty chambers under the Sphinx. And Graham Hancock says books, documents, records.
Yeah.
And I think that all of it is cool. And again, just guarded by sculptures was just mind blowing.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it was very much an Indiana Jones type of an idea where, man, one of them is going to shoot a poison dart. It's not going to let you just look through them and take them. And I just think it was really a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was a great episode. It just got you thinking, that's for sure. Listen, the Great Pyramid, unknown construction method. Nobody knows to this day how it was built. You know, without wheels, cranes, or iron tools remains a subject of speculation and debate. Nobody knows. And they were the astronomical accuracy through the shafts, especially that they pointed to with precision to the precise galaxies and like Orion's belt and the three main star clusters there. They had no telescopes. It wouldn't be a telescope wouldn't be invented till like 4,000 years later, Dave. I mean.
And I will say I do love that part of
Yeah.
the documentaries I've seen where they have that robot going up that 8-inch by 8-inch
Yeah.
thing, and it's like, yeah, we can. There's a blocking us,
Yeah.
and they drill through it and they go up another 10 feet, and there's another one. It's like, oh, and to know how that was built. And how, if we ever deconstruct the pyramid, what are we going to do? Are we going to cause more damage? Let's take one of them apart. Why not? There's 3 of them. Actually, 97.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Yeah, take maybe the smallest of the 3. I mean, it's a good idea. But I mean, they say that because there were no telescopes, there were no lenses, or even nothing. They say it was just all naked eye observation. They mapped these stars, these planets, and even the events, with the naked eye and over time. So they documented where the star was positioned, where it was at here, with what was called Merkit. It was like a plumb line instrument and vertical rods to track the stars, the sun, and stuff like that. So it just was all very simple, basic stuff. I mean, but can you imagine a couple thousand years of just watching the stars? Can you imagine that being your job and saying, okay.
No, but did we live the same amount of time as we do today? Because that's something I find fascinating too when you read through the Bible. And these are the pharaohs, like Ramses II is the pharaohs of Exodus, right? And like all these people living hundreds of years, and now today we only get 100 at the very, very most.
Yeah.
I think there's some length of time issues that we also have to consider during this time period. And one thing too, when we look back to the Sphinx, is that the head of the animal is different today. Today it's we think it's possibly Khafre as the pharaoh, but we know that it's proportionately off from the animal. And so we don't know if it's a feline, a lioness, or perhaps it's a composite creature like Anubis. So I would love to go back in time and see what it originally was.
Yeah.
And to
Thanks,
think
Connie.
when we have during Napoleon's time in Egypt, we have pictures of this structure completely covered to the neck. So it's just like a head sticking out of the sand. So,
well, I mean, listen, about 12,000 years, how much has been covered by sand? You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's that too. And there's Dave's link in the chat. Thank you, Connie. I feel bad. It's not bad. Hasn't been in. Yeah. Anyways,
it's okay.
My fault. Dino, I don't know how much you know about the Aztec pyramids. Are they similar in size and look to the Egyptian pyramids? You know what? Some of the pyramids in like, say, Mexico, South America, some are similar. Especially, I don't think you probably wrote it down, Dave, but Graham Hancock did mention there were 3 specific pyramids in one location that were.
I think it was at Palenque.
Yes. They were pretty close, tomb wise and construction wise, as the Great Pyramids. But then you get other pyramids. Listen, there's thousands and thousands of pyramids all across the globe.
Well, think about China. What if China opened up and let us in to take a look at what they've got?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we have no idea. Yeah.
If you would ever call Linda Moulton Howe, we could talk about the pyramids in Antarctica.
Yeah. Listen, pyramids around this time were everywhere on this across the globe. And
didn't they talk about the latitude was latitude 30, and this is exactly halfway in between the North Pole and the equator?
Well, so this is the other. Yeah,
geographically, they're so important.
Well, and Graham Hancock touched on that, as well as another hypothetical with the Great Pyramid, and all the pyramids on the planet, was specifically the Great Pyramids, was harnessing a certain frequency and tune. And they say if you were to go into the Great Pyramid and experience it, you would understand what he's talking about. But there's a frequency you hear which connects to the earth, which, again, he says pretty much like it's a Gaia effect type thing, where it heals the earth, it keeps the earth in a whole in this frequency, to keep it from, destruction, and keeping it what it is. A type of energy is what it is. It was very interesting how he said it.
Well, he also said that the pyramids were still active.
Oh, well, yeah, for that fact too. Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, a frequency coming from the great.
Them.
What's that?
Maybe we won't.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't. We'll get earthquakes and tsunamis and everything else.
Better equipment to scan through limestone.
Yes, Dave. Yes, they do. That's my point to all of this. Yeah, we don't. The images that we got from the new images that were under the Khafre pyramid shows these long cylindrical, but you're getting these arguments with people saying, well, radar don't go that far. Listen, even if radar, and I know for a fact, first of all, it was new type of radar, but if you use even other types of ground penetrating radar, you can at least even get 100 feet. And with 100 feet, you can see if there's pillars, and you know what I'm saying, Dave.
I just wanted to rile you up a bit.
Yeah, thank you. I know. Listen, I'm pissed. Yeah, you're correct. We need to know more. I don't know why we're not being told certain things. It drives me nuts. I can't wait to ascend. What? Let's see. What's Raj say? Dino, so how can anyone say humans alone, hold on, alone built those pyramids when they are all around the world. In those days, tribes were more insular, knowledge could not travel around the world. And how do the well exactly? That's those are all facts that lend to a lot of the pyramids being built. Not all of them. I mean, if say the Aztecs, they see structures that were built prior to their civilization and copy the construction the same way, because there are tiny pyramids. There are pyramids that are doable. You know what I mean? It's the sites that are, Dave, am I wrong? The sites that are like, you try to put a piece of paper through, they're just so perfectly aligned and built and filed down and
Oh,
polished and
absolutely.
smooth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And some of those were built the same time as the Great Pyramid. And it's like, okay, halfway across the world that was built.
And oh, this pisses me off. And this is what I talk about in my classes. When I talk about Stonehenge, right? Stonehenge is amazing. It's Neolithic. It's really cool. But it's built at the same time as the pyramids are.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the pyramids are infinitely better than these few stupid little stones at Stonehenge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have what, 68 sarsens or whatever. And it's just like, I mean, it's cool. It's important, whatever. But the pyramids, I mean, just blow it away. What is the quote? The pyramids to Stonehenge are like the great cathedrals to a parish church. It's just like two different worlds, no pun intended. I just wanted to, if we could, I'm just going to go through some of the callers we had at the end of the show.
Yeah. Let me touch on Stonehenge just really quick, though. Very, very simply, stones lifted could totally, I mean, that's doable. I mean, we know that. And I think it's a sacred site where they performed rituals or sacrifices to the gods or whatever you want to call it.
It's a calendar.
Yeah, and
religious rituals.
Yep.
A place where you could take the sick to get better.
Yes.
It was a crematorium at some time. They're finding ashes of individuals. Yeah.
No. So my point being that just a culture used that area for many different things, and whereas we just can't figure out the Great Pyramid. But anyways, go ahead, Dave. Start talking about some of the callers.
Reply to Mr. Ed here. There's mysterious mounds built thousands of years ago right here in the United States. Only 1% of those mounds remain.
Oh, yeah.
We just if it's anything, it's just, we just bulldoze it. It's in our way. Screw it. That's our culture. That's what we do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, we had pyramids in this country too. But yes, destroyed and just plowed over because we went on a construction, we were madmen and we just, anyways, go on, Dave, talk about the callers.
So some of the callers were really cool. One of them was a female. She had an out-of-body experience where she goes back to ancient Egypt and she happens to be one of Khufu's daughters. Later, she talks about joining the Illuminati, and she talks about a kid coming up to her in Cairo going, "I know who you are. I've seen your image on hieroglyphs about the Pharaoh's tomb and blah, blah, blah." And I thought that was really kind of cool.
That was kind of cool. But when the kid said that to her, and that part of the story, that got me going, oh God, this woman's just a little nutty. She probably looks like her and grasped it. Who knows? Listen, maybe she is, but go ahead.
There was another caller who could not get Graham's book. It was banned in her quote unquote city. And it was just
the destruction of the history in the books. Yes.
That was funny.
Thank you, Harry Scott. Yes, don't forget to leave a comment after the stream. Thank you for all your comments on every single video, Harry. I appreciate that very, very much.
There's material that's never been made.
Let it out, Dave.
Sorry. It was toward the end. My writing got a little crummy.
He's like,
I was trying to spell out the
chicken
word
scratch.
Herodotus.
Herodotus, yeah.
Said during his visit to Egypt, it was the happiest, most beautiful, most serene civilization he had ever seen.
Yep. Yep. That's the best callers you got, huh, Dave?
That's all I got. Some of them were so silly. Like they talked about, and this is a great one. Did you have Dr. Gene Scott on television when you were a kid, or was that a SoCal thing?
Gene Scott, is she the
It's a guy.
predictor?
It's a guy, Christian guy, would talk on stage smoking a stogie.
Gene? No, I guess not.
Oh,
No.
man, Dr. Gene Scott was amazing. And even if you weren't into religion or anything, you would just stop the channel just to watch him. And you saw him get old years after years, of watching him on TV. He was on public broadcast. He'd grow out his beard, be all mangy, and always smoking a cigar. But this guy was the most brilliant guy ever. And he could write in like Hebrew and all this stuff. He would read from a book called The Secret of the Pyramids on his show. And that was just really kind of
Oh, yeah. They talked about that in the show.
Yeah.
Hours of WWM. Is there hieroglyphics depicting the pyramids with two Sphinx? I never heard of that, Dave.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah, no, never heard of it. So, and I don't know how that would have gotten past me. There are hieroglyphics in Egypt depicting two sphinxes outside the Great Pyramid. Well, that's a new one to me, WWM, but I will look that up. But
And the last caller was sending her kid to Egypt.
you might be thinking of like architecture with the two lions on each side. Anyways, go ahead.
She was sending her 10-year-old kid, going to be 12 when the tour took place, from John Anthony West, which would have been a great tour. And she's all, I want to, have this kid read some books about ancient Egypt. And Graham's like,
my son needs to read.
You could read my books. They're like meant to be read by a 10-year-old. And I thought that was really cool. Like, wow,
It's so plain and simple.
That's it.
That a kid could read it. Yeah. I think, so wrapping this show up and episode 21 of Remembering Art Bell podcast.
And episode of 104 of Dino and Dave.
Yeah. It keeps adding up. Never
goes down.
Just like I'm still thinking of that night gallery last week. That was so good. Anyways, random. Yeah, it was just random.
Can you imagine if we had snow outside the pyramids?
Oh, that would be cool. That would be a nice sledding experience, just going down the side of it.
Oh, Graham, and I listen to a lot of his talks, and he's all, if you're above 30-foot level, he goes, there ain't no stopping you. If you fall above 30 foot, he goes, you're going all the way to the ground and you're dying.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's
he also
terrible.
says to go up the southwest corner of the Great Pyramid. He goes, that's the easiest.
But
he's climbed it 5 times.
Crazy. But summing it up, listen, Graham Hancock was one of the staples on Art's show. And I think he's a legend on Art Bell's show. I liked a lot of the things he got into when it came to talking about Atlantis in future episodes.
Yes.
And others undersea, like kind of vanished civilizations and stuff. Some very cool stuff. But he was a very good guest. Me listening back on a lot of these things. Love Art Bell. It was so nostalgic. Even loved listening to this one with Graham Hancock. But again, the older I get and listening to these, I just keep finding out how much nothing's changed. And it's the one thing I wish there was somebody out there doing what Art Bell did, because George Norrie ain't doing it. He's rehashing what he did. so long ago. So, anyways, I mean, I don't know. We need new information and stuff like that. But, anyways, Dave has got that look. He almost sets the clock. I think there's a silent alarm clock that goes off in front of him that says time to go, but I don't hear it or see it.
Actually, the alarm clock you should is in the upper left-hand corner of the window.
Oh no!
But it's like it's that point where it's like, oh crap, he's going to ask me, Dave, any final words? And I got to come up with something.
No.
But I have it. I'm ready.
I want to thank everybody for being in here. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Wait, what? Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. All you mothers. That's my gangsta talk. Anyways, hopefully you guys had a good one. Hey, Ezra Carter, what's going on?
Yeah, and thanks for spending Sunday with us.
Yeah. Hey, how much longer we got? When's your premiere of the sci-fi show, Ezra? Put it in the chat. I'm curious how long we got yet for the trailer. I think the trailer comes out pretty soon. I wrote it down somewhere. Anyways, happy Mother's Day. I'll be looking at the stream. But Dave, another great show. And do you have any last words?
I do. The older you get, the closer you get to reincarnation.